QATV, in compliance with FCC regulations, is prohibited from exercising control over the content of independent, member-produced public access programming.
Welcome to the show. I'm Isha.
And I'm Sophie.
Thank you, Isha and Sophie. I'm so honored to be here. It's always a wonderful experience to join your show. DOVE, as many of you in the audience may know, stands for Domestic Violence Ended. We're an organization that's based in Quincy. We serve a broader radius around Quincy of 17 cities and towns. We're most known for our shelter for victims of domestic violence and their children. And we also provide a number of community services where folks can come in and see us by appointment in our office to get information about domestic violence and talk with us about if they need assistance or help. And we work in partnership with Quincy Police Department, as well as Milton, Randolph, Holbrook, Dedham, and Norwood Police Departments. And we work with a number of different schools, many schools, about 15 different high schools in the area, with a teen dating violence prevention program called Youth Speak, where we work with junior and senior high school students to educate them about domestic violence or dating abuse, but really also about healthy relationships, healthy communication, respect among peers, respect in dating, and then those students teach their own peers about the issue, and they're a resource in their schools for folks who need help. So DOVE provides a number of different services, and we try to reach lots of different members of our community, but we're also a small organization, so we can't get to everybody that we hope to reach.
Right.
You also have shelter.
We do have an emergency shelter, yes. DOVE is in Quincy and the South Shore, where there's a very large South Asian community. We have not connected very well. We don't have any staff with language skills to reach into that community. We do connect with Saheli, and you will hear from Lata shortly about their work in our geographic area and in the greater Boston area in general around domestic violence, but also supportive friendships. But as I was watching the movie, I thought it's so inspiring, such a wonderful story of this young woman, Selvi, who's just incredibly courageous. And I thought it would be so fun to bring this to Quincy. So October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and this is one of our events for the month. It's a community outreach event. We hope that folks in the audience will come on Wednesday, October 26th, to Quincy High School, where we're going to be showing the movie from 7 to 9 p.m. It's free. All are welcome to attend. And then after the movie airs, we will have a short panel discussion with Lata and two other folks, just debriefing about the movie, talking with folks who've come to attend the viewing about what are the services available, and talking about the issues that are raised. But in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, there's a connection because Selvi is a young woman who ultimately is able to leave a relationship with an abusive husband, and she becomes the first female taxi driver in South India. So leaves that situation through the help of two wonderful brothers at a specific school. She gets her driver's license, and then she becomes a taxi driver.
Sure. Thank you, Ishita, and thank you, So, for inviting me, and of course, Sue, for inviting us to be part of this wonderful project. I'm really excited that we are getting this opportunity to see this movie and see the strength of this kind of a woman, and who's setting an example for all the South Asian women out there that think that it's not possible, especially as you said, child bride, leaving a marriage, coming from a South Asian culture, which is the next to impossible thing, and then going on to make a career, very difficult career too, in the realm of men. But regardless, let me tell you something about Saheli. We've been in existence now for 20 years. We just celebrated our 20th year. We are a 501c3 organization, and we work primarily with South Asian families. We want to empower them. We want to enable them to continue having as fruitful a life as they can possibly have here within our means, that is in the United States. And domestic violence is a large part of what we do, the services we provide, because it being such a prevalent crime and a silent crime. Our South Asian culture doesn't allow for speaking about these issues. So confidentiality is a huge part of this whole, not just for them being afraid of the abuser, but from society as a whole, which is not so obvious in the non-Indian community or non-South Asian community. They're more afraid of just the abuser. But in our case, we talk about just the community at large that they want to be sheltered from, where they don't want people to know what they're going through. So we play the role of being their confidant, mentor, guide, and resource, to getting the help they need. Other than that, Saheli has been working with the women to make sure we get them the training they might need. We run, as you know, from Quincy, we run our English PC classes from here. Occasionally we have our English language classes too, which is all offered free. I think there's a $10 charge for materials, but other than that, it's entirely free. So then we run some camps, we run visa camps, or we run health clinics, and so anything that will work with the South Asian community, any of the assistance that they might be looking for, we try to provide. South Asian based organizations that we work with closely. And of course, the other organizations that we work very closely is Dove, REACH, ATASK. These are amazing organizations that provide us all with the help that we need that we cannot provide. We are a very small organization, and we do not have the resources that some of these organizations have. The shelter that you spoke of, so that's very useful for some of our clients, and we can reach out to REACH or ATASK or Dove for that kind of assistance, or other referrals that they might have access to, which we don't.
Right.
And I also, actually, an important thing for us to share is we newly have added a staff attorney to our staff who does immigration work. So that is often something that folks dealing with domestic violence or abuse need help with, and now we're in a position to help them.
That is with people who don't have legal immigrant, they
Correct.
can't work here, or they come here with their spouses, so you
Yes.
help out with them.
Exactly. Yes.
That is so good.
That is very, very
Very
big, a
important.
big part of our assistance, because most of the cases that we see
Right.
in Saheli particularly are the H1, H4 abuse, because the control is with the spouse and the wife does not have. But now I think there's a law where the H4 can work under certain circumstances,
Yes.
which is a huge plus, because that wasn't the case earlier. And also now the fact that she can apply under the WAWA Act or for the
Yes.
U visa, so which is a big plus now for them.
Tell us something about it, like people who haven't seen it.
Oh, well, it's definitely something we want you to experience for yourself. But she is a sweet young woman who's very curious about the world, and as I said before, great courage. She's very brave and is able, like lots of survivors of domestic violence, she's able to grow her own voice inside herself, and she's at a time of desperation where she's very, very sad about her circumstances, and thinks about killing herself, actually, and then decides she wants to live and is able to get help. So she's got some grit some determination, and she's able to follow through on that. Very connected to family, and I don't want to give you this fun spoiler at the end, but it's a very positive story. And I definitely want to recognize our co-sponsors for this event. So we obviously, Faces of South Asia, as well as Quincy Access Television, are active co-sponsors. Saheli Boston, the Boston Asian American Film Festival, which is taking place October 20th to 23rd at Art Emerson Paramount Center. So definitely look up the schedule of films and check it out. Boston Asian American Film Festival and Quincy Asian Resources, our very own community resource for the Asian community. So we're so excited this evening to be showing the movie Driving with Selvi with our partners Saheli, Friends of South Asia, Faces of South Asia of Quincy Access TV, Quincy Asian Resources, and the Greater Boston Area Asian Film Festival. It's a really moving story about a young woman in South India who's able to escape marriage from an abusive husband and really restart her life in the most positive and inspiring way. So we're thrilled to have a number of community members here with us for the evening and to be able to show this great movie.
So it's exciting to be seeing it today, and I'm hoping that we get a large crowd, and we have a Q&A afterwards in which we will discuss the movie and its impact on our society, and we do hope there are a lot more selfies coming out of this kind of showing of the movie, inspiring people to not consider their situation as the end-all and be-all of their lives, but to keep furthering it, making themselves better and empowering themselves. This movie is truly about a woman who's done that all on her own, empowering herself and not accepting life as it is handed to her. I do believe that's the true strength of a woman, regardless of which society she belongs to. So I'm truly delighted to be bringing this movie today and excited to be watching it with the rest of the public today. Thank you, and we do hope you'll find a way to watch this movie. If you're not able to come in today, I hope you find a way to watch this movie and share it with your friends. Thank you.
Do you like me?
I like you very much
Why?
because you have a very good personality.
My personality?
ಅಂದರೆ ನನಗೆ 14 ವರ್ಷ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು.
ಅವನು ಸಖತ್ ಹೊಡಿತಿದ್ದವನು.
ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಸಾಯೋದ್ ಮೇಲು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಿದ್ದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ನ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಸರಿ ನಾವು ಸತ್ತರೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ನಿರೂಪಿಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ನಾನು ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಮನೋಭಾವನೆಯಿಂದಲೇ ಬಂತು.
ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಸೆಲ್ವಿ, ನಾನು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಆಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಈಗ ಯಾರೇ ಬಂದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಫಿಮೇಲ್ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಅಂತ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಸಖತ್ ಖುಷಿಯಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಜೊತೆ ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅದು ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
I was very impressed with Selvi herself. I think she showed so much of spunk coming from a village and from the 9th standard. That's all she passed. So most people throw up their hands having studied in cities, and say, what am I going to do? I won't get a job. She did the best thing she could do, driving. And she didn't even let herself be stagnant there. She went on to drive trucks.
No, I just scratching my head. I thought that driving was such a great analogy for her being able to have control over her life, and it made so much sense that of course she wants to drive. That's such a like concrete way of feeling like you have a lot of control for someone that for a long time didn't really get to have that in her life. And when she was sort of crying and like emotional about not driving and working, you could tell it had a lot more.
Yeah, she felt kind of, she felt like she had given up part of her identity,
Exactly.
right? So when she was at home. But one thing is that you notice that she doesn't lose her spirit, she's pretty much always thinking ahead. And I think and the very fact that she has people to talk to about her problems, I think that's where we come in as a lot of the people here are work with agencies that deal with domestic violence. And I do feel there's a big message in here about how important it is for us to be able to even offer moral support to women like this. Because that's all they need. Financial and all comes along later, but moral support, giving them a kind word, that changes everything. Because the biggest problem in domestic violence is self-esteem. And we need to be able to find a way to help that woman regain her self-esteem and self-confidence so she can go out there and make a difference. And Selvi is definitely one of those who's proven to South Asians. And she comes from South India. I belong to South India, and the language she spoke is the language I speak too. So it was easy for me to see the kind of problems that she was undergoing. And it's not just her story. It's the story of many women. So it's very heartening to see. I think this would be a great example. She's a great example to women from South Asia. So I'm very happy to have that there's a movie that's been made, and that too it's been made by a foreigner, which is another nice thing. Someone from outside the country had to come in to show that this problem is prevalent.
The statistics that they showed at the beginning, before the movie started, and it says UNICEF, but how long ago, how old are those numbers? And the second question is that I thought that in India it's now it's illegal, it's a law for girls to be married under 18, am I wrong?
It is illegal, but it's happening. Especially in the northern states and some of the villages, there is no laws controlling other than their own Khap panchayats in the north and, those small little villages, the village heads. So unfortunately, it's not being enforced as stringently as it should be. Yes, it's illegal in India. And those numbers could be very well from the time when the movie started filming, which was 10 years ago. It's a 10-year-long project that.
Yes, it does happen so in India, even because I'm a law graduate from India, and we do have really strict and stringent laws. But sadly, a lot of the native part of India, the villages, they're still governed by their own personal laws. Yes. And even if the legislator comes with a law or codifies it, they would not apply it because they're still governed with a personal law. And India has been trying to enact an act called the UCC, the Uniform Civil Code. Yes. So that is, if that, I don't know when it would come, but if that comes, all the personal laws go, and it's only one universal law everybody would be governed to.
Yes. So even dowry is illegal in India. Dowry, which is an even bigger problem. I should say even big, but just as big a bigger problem, which occurs even in cities, is banned. So if there's any hint of it to the officials, if there's someone has the courage to come forward, there is action taken against them. But unfortunately, there's so much fear. No one wants to come forward. They're worried that their daughters are going to get abused, and again, there's a stigma involved. When there's a marriage, it's like the woman is given to the other family, and they're no longer part of their own family. They're now part of the boy's family.
But it's changing.
It's changing in the cities, yes.
There is a new enactment called the 398, so
yes.
That is an anti-dowry law. And
yes.
Anyone who applies for that law does not have to go through the magistrate and all. It's a direct, put in the jail sort of a thing. So that's a very big boom in India currently.
Yes, I agree with that, absolutely. Yes.
And even here, I think sometimes it can be a problem, even if, the laws forbid it, the culture, sometimes people go back, right?
Oh yeah. We have cases here, that where they have problems back in India because the parents are asking for additional monies or additional materials, or houses and cars, and they want that. They just don't want something small. They want in return for It's almost as if they're selling their sons, for this kind of price. So it's there, and we have many cases we have to deal with where there's a lot of cruelty when the parents visit here. They exhibit a lot of cruelty towards their daughters-in-law because their parents have not provided as much as they should have back. And they also threaten them with brutality towards the parents. So the daughter complies with their demands here, so that she doesn't. Their parents don't have to face any kind of, So it's unfortunately, again, all these laws are there. I wish they could be applied across the board, but they don't get applied. It's a slow process. India is such an old culture that change is slow. Very. There's so much of good in it, but there's also so much bad. So we just hope and pray that it slowly but surely takes shape and changes. I'm feeling very blessed as far as Saheli is concerned. We see a lot of young women approaching us, which is a huge shift from years ago when women who had children and who have been suffering years of abuse come forward. But now it's women who face violence, choose not to have children and wait and come forward and seek help. And that's what I'm really appreciating in our community. That means there's a change. People are not accepting this as the norm. Parents are supporting their children. There are parents who call us and tell us, please help our daughter. When there never was something like that. Like for instance, you see Selvi herself. She had no support from her family. And her own brother, even despite getting her married off to another family, chose to call her a prostitute when her own husband, sold her off for money. So there is no acceptance of anything that happens to you. Was no acceptance, I should say. So it's changing. Anyway, I'd like to...
I wonder if you can talk about some of the work that Saheli's doing now locally to support women.
Yes, we of course have a helpline that we answer, 3 times a day. We pick up the calls that come in. And if it's a domestic violence case, we generally talk to them about how we can assist them. There are several steps to it, but essentially we assess their case, we figure out what it is that they need, and if it's anything, there's immediate danger to them, we help them in taking them out of that situation. We try not to break marriages. Our goal is not to break marriages, which is somehow for a long time we were seen as an organization that interfered in people's marriages and broke up marriages. So we were actually not very well accepted for a long time. It's now changing. That too is changing because we're seeing that that's not our goal. Our intention is to make sure that everyone is safe in a marriage or a relationship. So we help them assess their situation. If they really want to leave the marriage, then we help them find a space to move to, maybe a shelter, temporary shelter. Then later on provide them some housing, through the emergency housing societies. And then economic empowerment. We help them get to classes, professional trades, anything that they want to study so that they can make themselves economically empowered and go on to have careers for themselves. And we're proud to say that we've helped many women to come out of their own situations and gain self-confidence. That's even though we aren't able to provide so much in terms of funding, we are able to give them the strength of strength of mind or strength of whatever it is, just confidence, boosting their self-confidence and making them feel that they can go out and do it on their own. They don't need to lean on anyone because ultimately, just like Selvi does it, it all has to come from within. You can't be leaning all your life on an organization or a single human being. You have to do it on your own. But that comes with the strength. That's what we strive to do in Saheli. Help the woman gain the self-confidence that she has inside of her. So.
And then we're going to talk about a few cases like we did the mother-in-law case. The in-laws, when they come to visit their children here, or their son in this case, or in cases, they expect so much from the daughter-in-law. They come, especially during the delivery time, and still expect the same thing. The daughter-in-law will cook and clean and look after the baby. And then, of course, the son really takes the side of the parents, and they leave her behind, and the life becomes miserable. And they say, you can go back to India and leave your child here. So, and that becomes so tough. So, we have a couple of cases where the in-laws are leaving within 2 months, and all we can tell her is she has, she has got H4 and her husband has H1. You have a choice to go to shelter, but what will happen then? So can you stick for a month and a half more with this intolerance and brutality of the in-laws, and then going then? Think positively.
So I actually just want to add to that. It actually doesn't end there, even if she has to go back, or if they return, it doesn't end there.
Absolutely.
The lives actually are controlled by the parents, even remotely.
Yeah, that's a very big tragic. That's basically when they come, they control the family. Essentially the boys tend to be very, in South Asia, there is a culture that when a boy is born, he is going to be taking care of the parents, which is why he's always treated much better than the girl child in the house. When a son is born, it's celebrated. Girl child is okay, she's here and she's another burden. That's how it was looked at. So it was always left to the boy to take care of the parents when they were in their older years. So no matter who the boy married, his first priority or first responsibility was his parents.
And that's
so
fine. I don't see anything wrong.
no, there isn't anything wrong, but what would then happen is, especially in this day and age when they move out of the country or they're out here and there are parents, they want more than just the monies that are sent to them. They want to be in control of the son's life to the extent where they want to marginalize the wife. That's where the problem starts to occur. It doesn't occur in initially. I mean, if they all live together, it's I don't think there's any. It's nice that he wants to take care of his elderly parents, but it doesn't happen. It ends up becoming more of them controlling their married life.
So it's an attitude towards girls. Girls have to
True.
be giving, and
They have to keep giving. Yes. Yes.
It's not about putting effort in yourself, it's about how much you can sacrifice. One thing that I saw in the movie was when Selvi was crying and she couldn't go back to work, that kind of carries over no matter where you're at as a mother, no matter how accomplished you are. When you're sitting at home with children, you feel left out with your own self. Motherhood is only a part of being a woman. There are a lot of parts in you that you feel accomplished in and fulfilled in. And when you are only restricted to one role, it becomes harder to be in that position for a very long time. And there's levels of barriers across cultures when you're restricted in that position. And they don't necessarily come out easily in South Asian.
Yeah, it is. But I do admire the fact that Vijay, her husband, is definitely beyond his, the community that he grew up in. He seems to have been a very broad-minded young man who allowed his wife to grow and move on. He knew her passion, he knew what she really loved and allowed that to happen. It doesn't happen in all cases. So she, as she says very often, she feels very lucky, she feels very blessed. So it's obvious that whatever she's done in her life has helped her create that aura of self-confidence, and she's attracted a man to her that is, given her that courage to move on and continue moving on. It doesn't always happen. Someone who comes from a very abusive relationship tends to want to end up back in another abusive relationship. It's a pattern that they have to break out of. So just to have the very fact that she chose to be independent completely after having left an abusive relationship, she learned how to grow within herself. That's when she met the second man in her life who was far more stable. Had she jumped from the first to the second right away, it probably would have been the similar type of relationship that she would have ended up with, which we see as, I'm a survivor myself, so I have I lived for 13 years, and I was an educated girl, and I was, I worked in India, but I married someone, and I lived for 13 years, and 3 kids, and it took me 13 years after being in this country to start a new life with absolutely no knowledge of how to run financial, have a bank account, a credit card, nothing to my name. I had to start from scratch. So I started my life 13 years after I came to the country. So it took a lot, and I was an educated girl. So despite that, it doesn't
change what happens to you when you're in that situation. The question is, education doesn't do anything for you. Money doesn't do anything for you. It's all a mindset. It's the person's mind that goes first. So you got to be able to get that mind back to where you want it to get that courage to say, yes, I'm going to make something of myself.
And you've talked, and I think the movie really speaks to the critical importance of the support of family, friends, community to be able to make that happen.
Completely. Complete strangers stepped up to help her.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes. When these two men, who ran that Udnadi girls' hostel, I mean, they came forward and became her surrogate brothers, and it comes from the most unexpected sources. So, which is why I feel anyone who wants to come in and volunteer doesn't mean you will not make a difference in that person's life. All it needs is a kind ear to listen to to listen to you. And that's all it takes. So
I have an observation. You're talking about Selvi here, a South Asian movie. You can't box it as a South Asian movie. This is a universal phenomenon.
Yes.
So do you see the same things happen here? Maybe with slight variations, but it is there, right? So do you want to add something?
Yeah, talk about the cases that come to Dove.
Yeah, sure. For people that aren't familiar with Dove, we're a domestic violence program that's based in Quincy, and we work with people that have experienced abusive relationships. We have a shelter and a community advocacy center, and absolutely see a lot of similar themes of oftentimes a male partner sort of feeling that they have this right to sort of have control over their partner. We work with a lot of folks that have experienced financial abuse, are not allowed to work, weren't allowed, encouraged to finish school, to be independent, and sort of having that kind of control over the other person allows them to, or keeps them in the relationship. So absolutely, a lot of overlapping and a lot of family that sometimes we think would align with the survivor and end up sort of supporting the abusive person, and so a lot of those same themes.
Yes. I think the only major difference I would see in amongst the South Asian and as opposed to the non-South Asian is the societal pressures. We have women, the abused woman not just fears the abuser, she fears the society in general. So she refuses to be able to have her case be even discussed with another like-minded person or someone who's going through a similar situation, because she's afraid that it will get around to the community. Because there's so much of cultural barriers to it. They feel that people are going to stigmatize them and ostracize them, and they just don't like that. They don't want people to know. So you would see in our community people who are doing very well and out there in society, community, pillars of the society, but they have miserable homes, dysfunctional homes, and but they cannot discuss that with anyone. They have to wear these two faces all the time. It's very sad. I hope that's one of my fondest dreams, is someone will be able to talk. Yes, I'm going through this and I'm succeeding at it. I want everyone to stand up here and say, yes, it's not a stigma, and society should be able to talk about it. There's nothing wrong in it. It's not the abuser's fault. It's not the abused person's fault, and it's the person who's abusing that needs help. And we also don't suggest that the abuser is always one at fault. Maybe there's some issues there that need to be taken care of. And if there is someone who approaches us seeking that kind of help, we're more than happy to provide them the resources they need, seeking anger management or any kind of other resources that we might have at our disposal, because it is a sickness in a way, abusing someone, because there's always inferiority or whatever there is that they're suffering from that causes them to become abusive. And there's alcoholism.
Yeah, and also the social sanction that we allow.
Yes. Yeah, a man can do anything kind of a thing amongst the South Asians. That's another thing. A man can get away with a lot, and the fact that wherever you go, your home is close to you. Your parents will not take you back because of the social stigma. So you have nowhere to go. I have control over you, kind of a thing. So, yeah.
So I want to add to that. To tonight, we
don't have many of the women attend for that very reason, because a lot of the husbands will not take care of the babies at this hour, even though the women in the house are taking care of them all day. And that's the regular struggle that I see on a weekly basis. We run our computer classes up at the library, and some women come and volunteer with us just to be able to go out and do something.
Yeah.
And some women want to just come and learn. And it's very hard to find childcare.
And that's for something that's certainly not even as, it's not like they're going to get support around issues around the relationship. They're just trying to get
assimilate into
Yeah.
society, because that's one of the biggest issues that the abuser, one of the things that the abuser does is to control their partners in the movements and what they do with them, as far as isolating them from friends, isolating them from society, preventing them from seeking work or having a vehicle of their own. There's various ways that they don't just get physically abused. It's always a whole lot of other things revolve around it. So
And
yes.
I think to Usha's point,
Yeah.
the themes are similar.
Yes.
It just looks a little different, right?
It
In
does,
every
that's
culture, different communities.
Absolutely.
But every culture has its culture.
Right.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
culture has its social norms, and unfortunately, sexism is not unique to any one society. It's pretty universal. Still. Right?
Everybody wears two masks, right? Everyone wears two masks.
Exactly.
Or more than two, multiple masks.
Actually, they've stopped ultrasounds in India now. It's been banned now. No doctor can perform an ultrasound without getting arrested for it. It's because there was this feticide.
Thank you for coming.
I do have to mention that the viewers have to understand that this is not America, this is India that driving selvi is. And to break the traditions, to run away as a child bride is next to killing yourself. And watching the movie not only gives me the courage for all other young child brides back home as well as in this country, the struggles, and it's not okay to commit suicide. You have to just get out of it and go for it. I'm so glad that you brought this to Quincy. I mean, just priceless. I have no words to express. And you understand Kannada, I understand.
Yes.
And
I am from the state of Karnataka, so I do understand and speak Kannada. But more heartening, I just wanted to raise this issue about young people coming forward. Earlier on, women would be in marriages which involved domestic violence for years and years. There would be children involved. There would be, until there came a breaking point. Sometimes it didn't. Sometimes it would result in just them living that life and dying that way. But of late, we've been getting so many calls with this H1, H4, which is in a way heartening to see, because it is showing us that these women are not willing to put up with any of this anymore. They are willing to get out of the marriages before they bring in offspring, which will then perpetuate this problem. So, and we're finding a lot of parents calling us, which is extremely heartening, because it's showing us that there's support which never used to exist before. Parents said to you, you're married, you're gone, you leave the house, and you're no longer our child. You're the child of you're their property.
Parents
so
are
to
calling
speak.
from here?
From here or from India,
abroad.
reaching out to us and saying, please help our daughter. She's struggling with this, and we need to know what. And she does not want to return. She wants to make a life for herself. So please see if you can help her. So I feel that is a really wonderful trend where parents are showing support. They're no longer worried about the stigma of society. They still want us to keep it confidential, but at least they're not afraid to take that step to say, if she's not happy, she can leave the marriage. She should leave it. And we always say, we give them the choice, obviously. We do not force anyone to break. We do not want to be involved in breaking up marriages. That's not our goal. But yes, domestic violence is not acceptable. That we make it very, very, very clear. And
So it's a huge step for the parents
It is
to
a
take,
huge step, huge.
And for the society to change, yes.
Yes, and for our community to be able to step up and say, yes, this is this is happening within us.
As much as it's our community who is stepping up to see
Yeah.
what's happening, is what
Yeah.
I'm amazed. The movie had to be made by a non-Indian, non-South Asian producer, director, who decided and who had the heart. And then Sue, which obviously with your blonde hair, you're not South Asian.
I'm not.
You're not.
Surprise!
Yes, but you're the one who initiated that. Let's bring it to the South Asian society. Of course, you co-sponsored. Saheli co-sponsored.
right.
We are trying to help. But who initiated this? It was a non-Indian who felt
Well,
Right. But you know, there are a lot of
And a
Indians.
non-Indian who made it too.
And a
Yeah.
non-Indian
No,
who made
there are
it.
a lot of movies. I have to tell you, there are a lot of Indian directors that have made movies on domestic violence, except that they're not widely appreciated because you know the bulk of the population of India is illiterate that lives in the villages. So when you talk about addressing 70% of the population that's in the rural community, they don't want to go to a theater to watch someone getting beaten up or someone doing something that is beyond what they can imagine. They want to see the song and dance and routine, and they want to see these larger than life heroes in the movie, which is why it's not widely accepted, and there is no money involved in something like this, sadly. But you're right, it's nice to see that someone else from outside the country is coming out here and showing the story of this wonderful young girl. So,
And it's very important for us all to remember that we each have a role in ending domestic violence, and there are certain things that I can do, but all of us together can do that much more. So, you know, the important thing for me was, if we're going to do this, we have to partner with folks who know this community. This is your community. I'm not trying to bring something from the outside, but I really wanted to bring this to Quincy with you all.
yes.
That's so wonderful to hear, the responsibility taken by joint community to bring so that all of us have a say in domestic violence and take it through. And Dove has been instrumental in Norfolk County as well as the South Shore, headquartered here in Massachusetts as well as in Quincy. So do support Dove and the South Asian community on Saheli. Join us in making domestic violence history. Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you.